Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Robinson again, and we're going to continue our studies. This time we're going to talk about circles. So I have a video about the area formula of a circle, which I'll show you in class. Game or two we'll play. And here's some vocabulary we need to read. So let's get to it. A circle is a set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a given point called the center. A circle is named by its center, by the way. The radius is the distance from the center of a circle to any point on the circle. The diameter is the distance across a circle through its center. The length of the diameter is always 2 times the length of the radius. And we can say the converse for a radius. The radius is half of the diameter. So here are some important parts of a circle that we should know. So let's first highlight a few things. Let me get a highlighter. Use that one. Diameter is equal to line segment AB. So here, there's your diameter. Radius. We have a lot of them here. So let's get a different color. We have OC. So going from the center O up to C. That's a radius. O going to B. That's a radius. And we have OC. I'm sorry, AO. Or OA. So I noticed AO and OB gave us the whole line AOB, which is our diameter. So when you have a lot of radius, we call them radii for plural. All right, now we got the center of the circle. That's point O right in the middle. Let's get us another highlighter. And there it is right in the center. A chord. AB is a chord. AB, that was a diameter. But it is also a chord as well. So it has a lot of names, this diameter. It happens to be the longest chord in a circle. So a chord goes from one side of the circle to another side. So does the diameter, does that as well. So DE would also be a chord. It goes from one side of a circle to another side. So there are your chords. Remember, the diameter is the longest chord in a circle. Now we have arcs. So I'm not going to outline all of them. I'll just do a couple of them. We have AC. It's the ridge of the circle, the rim. Does it make curves? I don't think it makes curves. AB, BC. It's just the outer ridge of the. I guess I gotta color it in like that. Okay, so CB, DE, BE, AD. Those are our arcs. So those are the parts of the circle that you should know. Circumference is the distance around the circle. Note the circumference is the product of its diameter and pi. Product is the answer to multiplication, so circumference, which we call C, is equal to pi times the diameter. And remember, the diameter is twice the radius. So 2 times r would give you a diameter. And we multiply 2 pi r to give us the circumference. So we can use two formulas. pi times diameter, or 2 pi r. Here's a little saying to help us remember the circumference formula. Circumference equals pi times d. We say cherry pie is delicious. Cherry stands for the C, pi symbol, and D for diameter. Cherry pie is delicious. CPD. Area is the two-dimensional space inside of a figure. A equals pi r squared. Well, here's a saying we also got about area of the circle, pi r squared. We say apple pies are too. So not only is cherry pie delicious, apple pies are too. A for apple, area. Pi, there's the pi. R for the radius. And the little 2 to remind you that it's being squared. So we're using the apple pies are too. Cherry pies delicious, apple pies are too. Thank you, Miss Alvarez, for that nice little saying. Here we have a calculator, and pi has its own button located right there. So you'll be using that instead of the estimation of 3.14 or whatever they ask you to use. We use the pi button unless they indicate otherwise. So here's our first question. We want to find the circumference of a circle whose diameter is 12 centimeters and round it off to the nearest tenth. Well, we got our formula. C equals pi, or pi times diameter. So let me get my pi symbol. Pi times diameter. So the diameter is equal to 12. So I got to multiply that by pi. So, and let's see. I have to get my calculator because pi is an irrational number, and we haven't talked too much about that. And it's a really long number, so they have a button on the calculator for it. So to find the circumference, all I have to do is just type in 12 times pi. And that'll give me the circumference. And look at the number I get. 37.6991184. But it said round to the nearest tenth. If you remember your place values, the nearest tenth would be the 6th. So we want to make sure we go next door to it, and if it's 5 or above, we would shove this up 1. If it's 4 or below, we would let it go. So since it's 5 or above, we're going to shove that 6 up by 1, and we'll get 37.7. And it's centimeters. So that's a distance. So 37.7 centimeters. So pi times diameter, 12 times pi, gave us that long 37.6991184, and we round that off to the nearest tenth, and that gives us 37.7 centimeters. So I hope you got something out of that question. Here's one for you. Find the area of a circle whose diameter is 12 centimeters. Round to the nearest tenth. Again, so now this time we're finding the area. So make sure you remember your area formula and what you're using. Remember, cherry pie is delicious. Apple pies are too. Check for your understanding. If you need to rewind the tape, please do so and write down your questions, and I'll be glad to answer them in class. Here's an interesting question. The circumference of a circle is 15.7 centimeters. What is the radius of the circle? Use 3.14 for pi. Well, C equals, I'm going to use the other formula 2 pi, and let me get my pi symbol, r. So now I have this formula. I'm going to use this formula this time. So it's a good formula come in handy. Now it said that the circumference was already there. It was 15.7. And that's going to be equaling to 2 times pi. But they said use for pi 3.14. And then we got to multiply that by the radius, which we were trying to find. So let's see. When I multiply, let's clear this. 2 times 3.14. 3.14. I get 6.28. So I get 15.7 equals 6.28 r. So there's my equation. Solve it for r. Well, I remember how to do that. I divide both sides by what's next to the r. So I'm going to divide both of these by 6.28. So let's get a pen. And, where are my pens? Okay. So 6.28. Divide that by 6.28. And this is going to cancel out on the right side. The 6.28s cancel out, leaving me with just the r. And now is where I get my calculator back in hand. So let's get it up. I got 15.7 divided by 6.28. And that gives me an answer of 2.5. So the radius, that's a little messy for me. So the radius equals 2.5, and that's centimeters. And there is our answer. So C equals 2 pi r, and that's a nice formula to use, even though you can use the other one. 15.7 equals 2.2 times 6.2 times 3.14 times r. I divided both of this sides by 2 and 2 times 3.14, and that gave me the 2.5. So it works if you do it the other way using the other formula as well. So you might want to just try that as well, because if it's pi times diameter, so the diameter is what we were looking for. Let me just move some of this stuff out of the way. So circumference equals pi times diameter. Pi, insert, times diameter. Let's take our circumference, which was 15.7, and that's equal to pi, which they said use 3.14 times the diameter. Now I would divide both sides by 3.14. So let's divide by 3.14, both sides. 3.14. Let's clone that. My 3.14s would cancel out, leaving me with the diameter. And let's get my calculator to show you that if we type 15.7 divided by 3.14, that'll equal to 5. So the diameter equals 5. But remember, the radius is what we're looking for, not the diameter. So we have to take the diameter, which is 5, and divide it by 2. Divide it in half. That'll give us the radius of 2.5, which is what we got from the other formula. So the radius is still 2.5 centimeters. So that was a pretty good question. We did it both formulas and we got the same answer. So either formula you want to use will work. So try it. Here's one for you. The area of a circle is 25 pi square centimeters. What is the radius of the circle? That's a good one to chew on. Here's another one. The circumference of a circle is 9 pi inches. What is the diameter of a circle? Another good question. So check for your understanding. Watch the video again if you need to. Write down any questions that you may have. I'll be glad to answer them. Here's another nice question that we'll touch on next time. The best estimate for the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its radius is what? So we've come down to the end, and I hope you got something out of it. So see me next time in class. I'll be glad to answer your questions. This is Dr. Robinson saying goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye.